I just stopped blaming you. I'm like, you need to do this and you need to do that. And I had to just stop for a minute and say, Michael, you're the man in this house.
Yeah.
What you're giving your wife, she's reflecting it back to you. You just don't like it.
I can honestly say I felt a calling to serve you and the purpose that God had for you.
I think that might be a trigger to a lot of women.
Okay, I can get in that. I'd love to.
This is a whole moment right now. Because I first of all, I got my wife here with me, and we want to just spend some time with our tribe. And I just I've had this feeling that keeps reoccurring. It's just a feeling of love and acceptance. I know for me, what's important is to belong, to be a part of something where you are fully accepted as you are.
Yes.
I think it's great to want to grow, want to be better, but you can't really grow and be better if you're not accepted as you are.
That's good.
And the tribe is about being accepted as you are, being a part of a community of people that are striving for what you want to be. And we take that journey together. And a huge part of my journey is with this woman sitting right next to me. And it goes back, as I talk about, like the lessons I've learned, how to really be the right man behind the scenes, how to build a platform for your purpose to stand on. It goes back to as a kid, learning these lessons. And she entered my life while I was a young buck. When I was a kid, I was a teenager when I met Chavon. Her name is Chavon. Give it up for Chavon, y'all. This is Chavon right here.
Hi, everybody.
This is my African queen right now. She's got a whole. Can you sing a song like a?
I can't sing a song. No.
She's just doing something right now. She's got the African rap, but she's got the New York shirt. First of all, let me just say this about Chavon. Chavon, she comes across. Look at her. She looks sweet, nice, and she talks soft. But Chavon is a thug in her heart.
Oh my gosh.
She is thug. Not. Don't stop all that. Stop. What do you mean? Thug. Chavon has like a soldier mentality. Don't quit, don't stop. I don't even know if I said that right.
I got it.
You got it?
Yes.
I'm just saying.
I'm tenacious.
You are well put. When we met, one of the things about Chavon that I thought was awesome, I would say, ooh, you feisty.
Yeah.
And all that meant, I was saying you were feisty, but later on I was saying, ooh, you disrespectful. I was like, that ain't feisty. You got attitude.
Strong-willed. Yes.
I was really I was really intrigued by your tenaciousness.
Yes.
At a young age.
Yes.
So we've talked about me. So here's just the comparison between Chavon and myself. Mm-hmm. There's 7 of us, my siblings. I've got one younger than me, so I was a baby for a while of my family. So once you are the baby, and even if there's another baby, you just lose some of the benefits, but you still get treated like a baby. You don't get to do anything more than you got to do, but you don't get any new stuff either because the baby gets all that. But I was kind of like the baby of my father's heart in that way, and kind of precious, and everyone had to do the hard work. Everyone had to wash the dishes and mop the floor. And I was just kind of doing my thing, just kind of floating in the background, which is not your story.
No, I'm the oldest of 5. So I'm big sister, mama bear, the oldest in the family, the one responsible, helping to take care of the younger ones. So
feisty.
I mean, I had to know my mind.
You did.
I had people depending on me.
And so that was something that I was attracted to early on, like immediately. Because the thing about us that we do have in common, even though our birth orders are different, is that we both had a very serious mind.
Very true.
About life.
Yeah.
And a very serious mind about God.
Very true. And a love for ministry.
Love for ministry.
Yeah, at an early age.
So I'm a PK.
Yep. I'm a PK.
She's a PK.
Mm-hmm.
My church, 5657 Dr. Martin Luther King in Wellston.
Oh Lord, you remember the address? Maple Avenue. I don't remember the numbers.
Oh my God. Somebody ask you, when were we married? Date.
2001.
Nope. Date.
September 28th. I remember.
Year.
2002.
Yes. You see the role reversal here? She doesn't remember the church she grew up in. She has no idea where that church is right now. She has no idea.
Yeah.
What was your address as a kid? Do you remember the house address?
It was on Swan Avenue. I remember the numbers.
I know the last house when we got married. I know the address.
Yeah. You remember the numbers?
I remember the numbers.
What are the numbers?
I can't say it right now. Your family lives there.
Oh, the current house. I thought you were talking about the other. That wasn't the house you met me though.
Shoto.
Yes, they don't live there anymore.
I know they don't live there.
But you remember the numbers for Shoto?
I don't. I never do the numbers.
Okay.
Because remember back in those days, there was no like Google Maps.
Yeah.
I don't even know how you told me.
I can't say I remember the numbers to your family home though. I can't.
Of course you don't.
Because I don't.
I'm not even going to ask you that question. Of course you don't. So, but I remember that. I was just thinking about that because I thought about that last night. The address to my dad's church, 5657 Dr. Martin Luther King Drive. So your church was right like maybe less than a mile away.
Yeah, about 5 minutes.
And we were both in the same denomination.
Mm-hmm. Kojic.
Same church denomination and didn't know each other. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's the Church of God in Christ.
You can't join in it.
You got to be born.
You got to be born.
That was a. If you listen, you're not in a denomination if y'all don't have a song.
Facts.
You need a theme song. We had, and I'm saying had, but have the Church of God in Christ. Love the Church of God in Christ.
We do love Church.
And but that's how we grew up, and so your birth order different from mine. Mm-hmm. But I'm thinking, I'm gonna let you embarrass me.
Oh,
tell some stories about what you thought about me as a kid, like. Before we met, before we started dating,
okay.
What did you think about? How amazing was that? Like what? I mean, because I'm interested because I've heard you talk about this a little bit, but I don't think I've asked you in this kind of setting.
Okay.
Because as I talk about my story, as a little kid, I was always so focused on really ministry, but also being like my dad. Mm-hmm. You know, my father was a pastor. He sang, I sang. I remember he would give my brothers like lessons and get them like plugged into like people to help them. And I was like, Dad, what about me? What about my career? My ministry? And my father would make fun of me. Like, I remember you would always ask me about your career. But I was like, yeah, I was serious. I wanted to do it. I wanted to sing. And so I was always so serious as a kid, but I'm interested. What did that look like to you? And then the contrast after meeting me, what did you think? And don't hold back. I'm fine.
I know. Okay, so.
Tell the people.
Strangely enough, when I first met you, and I've talked about this before, but the singing was like, it put me off at first, just out of, just kind of out of fear or whatever.
I told you she was going to put me out there. I knew it. I'm cool with it.
But just the other part of you, the part of you that like to have deep conversations, the part of you that like to read. But I think at that point you had already lost your biological mother. And this is a little strange. And I'm sure that, a counselor or someone in therapy can label this, but there was a part of me that felt like there was a space in your heart that I could help, because I was such a mama bear to, my siblings, and even in my church, I just, love serving people and love taking care of people. So being attached to you is like, okay, yeah, I see what everyone sees from the outside. I see the person that can sing, the person that can preach, the person that everyone loves to have around, but there's also behind the scenes, there's someone that's hurting. There's someone that, needs someone that's going to be there for them. So that was kind of the biggest driving force for me when we were younger.
You wanted to be my mama bear?
I did not want to be your mama bear. No.
You like when I call you that?
I did. No, but I don't know.
If I
it was
start
just
talking
like
to you in my baby voice. Hey, mama bear.
that would be a little creepy. Actually, that's a little creepy.
Yeah,
that would be a little weird.
I don't like that either.
But
yeah, I don't like that.
But yeah, I just think that I don't know. I guess I felt like I didn't let the other stuff outside that everyone could just see up front distract me from who you really were and just kind of, what you needed.
So there's a funny story that you tell sometimes about what I did at Kasu. When I was a kid, it was like a revival or whatever it was. And
that was, again, I had to learn how to deal with that.
I got real excited.
So he got really excited. And even to this day, if he's on the stage, he's going to take his toes as close to the edge of the stage as he possibly can.
I want to wiggle my toes over the edge of the stage.
But this particular night.
That sounds weird.
He didn't. What?
I said I want to wiggle my toes over the edge of the stage. Just like, I don't know what that is, but I'm not the only one. If you watch people who speak or preach or sing, it's something about the edge. I think it's like I want to be as close to the people as I can possibly get,
I can see that
and without falling and hurting myself.
Yeah,
But
this night you took it a step further, though. You got to the edge, and then at some point you dropped to the floor and you started rolling.
Stop! I didn't roll on the floor. Why do you keep adding stuff to this story?
And then you jumped out of the pulpit.
I jumped.
And then
so you got to imagine like the old school church pulpit with the huge seats, the big seat in the middle, all the nice big seats, and the big old podium up there, and ferns. And a big old, do this in remembrance of me table down front.
Yes,
and
big communion table.
And I'm standing up there and I got the mic and I was like, and God can save anybody. And you don't know what God can do for you. You don't know what God did for me. And I don't know what I was saying. And I jumped off of that stage. I leaped like the athlete
and started rolling.
Yes, I did not roll. I just landed.
No, but you used to run around the church like with your arms up in the air like you were Rocky.
I did run around the church
when
a
the
lot.
spirit got high.
That was like, and let's just talk about church kid attractive
antics.
No, things that make church teenagers attracted to each other. See a young man giving God all the praise, just running around the church. I was running around the church
with his hands
and the church
like he just didn't care.
I would lap that church so many times. I was just like. And I was just all sold out.
Yeah.
So that is a snapshot of me. So imagine me, a mini version of me. Just look at one of my sons, and imagine them running around the church with their hands up. It's like, boy, you better sit down. You playing. But honestly, I wasn't. I was very, very serious. But one of the things about you, because you were very much involved in the church and everything. But I do remember when I really first felt like I think that's somebody I really need to be connected to. Mm-hmm. We were at Kennedy Temple at this church at this midnight musical, and this is what we would do back in the day. It still happens now. I think it was like Memorial Day. Mm-hmm. That Sunday night we would have a service that would start at midnight and it would go till like 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. And then after that, we would all go to Denny's or Shoney's back in the day. So I'm there, I'm in the balcony, and I'm looking at her and her friends down, and I was very arrogant, I must say.
Yeah, sure.
As a young preacher, singer, my dad's a pastor, I was arrogant. And I was looking at all the girls, I was like, look at them, they're so immature. Look at them, they're not even paying attention to the service.
I told him he wanted to sit up high so he can look down low on us.
I was sitting up.
On us peasants.
That's see, she always got to go the extra. Okay, so I'm gonna behave because you starting to mess with me. I'm not gonna retaliate.
Good.
So, but I'm looking down and I'm watching all these girls. But I saw you there, and you were just kind of like, you wouldn't turn around, you wouldn't look up at the balcony. And check this out. This was so crazy. I was sitting in that balcony by myself. I could have easily sat down with everybody else. With my arrogant little self, me and my little cousin, I walked us up in the balcony. We're just going to sit up here. Just kind of look. That was so stupid. What was wrong with me? So, but you were just so focused. And I was like, wow, she's not looking at me. She's not giving me any energy. And it made me say, like, I'm intrigued by that. And from that point forward, I made it my mission, to get you to pay attention to me.
Yeah.
And it happened that night. You actually,
it did, yeah.
You paid me attention.
Yeah.
You pretended like you were looking for something, and you just ran right into me.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you.
Of course you did. Anyway,
you were cute.
So yeah, I was.
Yeah, you were very handsome.
I was.
He used to always put himself together really well. I mean, crease on
Had
point.
my wide legs on. Had my wide leg jeans on.
Oh yeah.
Listen. So I'm this one thing on fashion. So back then, I had wide leg jeans and my Eastlands. Do y'all remember Eastlands? Timberlands, like Eastlands? Nobody?
I remember.
You guys are no, not round ones. They were like
they were brown, yeah.
Huh? Eastlands. They're kind of like Timberlands a little bit.
I think we're dating ourselves.
Never mind. I don't like it when people younger than me laugh at me. It makes me feel really insecure. I don't like that. All right, but that's kind of like how we started out. But I really want to let you tell the story around the maturation process, because as I'm talking about my life, you are an eyewitness to the worst of me and the best of me.
Yeah.
In every transition. And I don't know how appropriate it would be, and it's even hard to even ask you this question, but when I say that I was really messed up, I don't think people really understand that. Like, it takes somebody who loves you. And there was one post that you and I went back and forth on, because I was talking about a time when we were really into it in our marriage. And it on the surface, it made you look bad. But I was like, my wife was attacking me with something she was saying. And that did sound bad, but I made the statement like, I was giving her so much negative energy that negative energy was being reflected back to me. And I had to come to a point where I had to stop blaming you. I'm like, you need to do this and you need to do that. And I had to just stop for a minute and say, Michael, you're the man in this house.
Yeah.
What you're giving your wife, she's reflecting it back to you. You just don't like it.
Yeah.
And you can blame her all you want. But I believe women incubate and respond. And I believe the best gift you can give a woman is your integrity, your consistency, and your love. And then let them reflect that back to you.
Yes, good.
It took me some years to get my hands around that. And what's even more important than that is doing it not based on a reciprocal model.
Right.
But you initiating it, expecting nothing back.
Right.
Because love is best given with no strings attached.
It's true.
When you give love based on what you think you might get, disappointment is coming very soon.
That's true.
Because nobody can ever give you enough to return what you think you've sacrificed for them. But if you truly sacrificed of yourself out of love for them and not out of a love for you,
right,
then the love will hit the target, and that can truly be reflected. It actually does happen. It does reciprocate in a way, but it does it without you manipulating it. But I had to learn that. But before I learned it, what was the difference between the then and now Michael? Talented, anointed, but broken and in process, from your perspective as a woman?
Well, since this is for, people who are married that are in situations where they may have platform ministries or some type of influence.
Now, that's a very good point, because this, you got to think about, you're right. This will be very helpful for people who you're married to someone, dating someone, engaged to someone who's a public influential person.
Right.
And they're in process.
Right.
And sometimes you might be tempted to judge or prejudge them based on where they are, or maybe sometimes be too generous and too giving based on the potential they may have. But this is a balance. So
yes, good. I think the best way I can describe it, and I don't think this is a situation that was unique to you. I think this is the challenge that every person that has a huge, influential front of the line, ministry line call, is that your personality wasn't integrated yet. It wasn't processed. So the challenge is a lot of times men in your situation, even women in public, all they're getting a lot of times is just the praise, and their gifts are being showcased, and the wonderful things, and the great part of them, that's the part that's front and center. But then there's still another side to everyone, not just the person on the platform, even people behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. But the challenges with people that are on the platform is that the infusion of attention is so lopsided that a lot of times that other side of them, it goes greatly underdeveloped and is never worked on. Yeah. And so it's the wife, or it's the mom, or it's the close family member, or, your direct report, someone that works right next to you that gets to see you in behind the scenes. They're the ones that has to deal with that side. And so one thing that I'm grateful in that early in our relationship, I can honestly say I felt a calling to serve you and the purpose that God had for you. And so that for me served as an anchor, because to be quite honest, it's a rough and it's a bumpy ride, but that's not just unique to you. Every person that has a great calling on their life, they have this, a lot of times it feels like a volatile process that they go to, but they have to walk this journey between here and there, And so anyway, so I think for me, it's one of two things. You have to accept that both parts of that person is who they really are, because sometimes we want to just say the part you see behind the scenes is underdeveloped. This person is a horrible person, or they're immature, or they're insensitive. That's who they are. And then sometimes there are people that want to just accept the part that they see in front and in public as that's who that person is. No, they're both the same person. Yeah. They're both who that person is. And so as a spouse, especially, you're in an amazing position to, number one, be honest and say, hey, this is probably an area where we can work on, where we can put some attention on, or we can add some tools to. So hold on, you're just saying a lot right now. Okay. And I think, oh my gosh, you said you felt called to serve me. And I think that might be a trigger to a lot of women. Okay. I can get in that. Like, I'd love to. What do you mean by, now I know what you mean by that, but on the surface, you can't just say that and then move on. Right. So what do you mean by that? Like, what was that? Was that an epiphany for you, a moment? Like, when did you learn that? And then how did you live that out? Okay, so I have to give a little bit background about myself. So my dad is a pastor, and I know this isn't everyone's experience with their dad, but from the age of 14, he started talking to me about marriage. Okay. He started coaching me, talking to me about how men think, talking to me about, how to best support. Thank you, father-in-law. Support a man. And so that part of it. But again, I'm in myself, I'm talented, I'm smart, I have a lot of gifts and things like that. So it really didn't hit home for me as far as what you're talking about and feeling called until I would say, right before we got married, and while we were still single, we had broken up, and we talked about that, before. You was talking about me behind my back. I was talking about you behind your back. I sure was. And let me tell you, when you break up with somebody that you like really, really with, like for real. Yeah, it was hurtful. Yeah, they can do dirty things. Yes, I needed, Oh, I forgave you. My girls to lift me up. You was just turning people against me. Look, I was hurt, but you made up for it. It's okay. So I prayed and I fasted and I just, really, asked God, what is this? What do you want? And I'm going to say this, that I felt called to a purpose that I don't even believe you saw yet in yourself. I know you didn't see it. You know, at that time you were the youngest and you were always used to basically following or falling in line with your brothers. So you being able to express your unique voice, you weren't able to do that yet. But so that was between me and God, right? So that was a decision that I had with him. So then when you started doing great or whether you were doing not so great, God didn't change his mind in my mind and what he told me and what he called me to do.
Okay, wait. Now, wait. Oh, this is a nugget. This is key. Mm-hmm. So, and I would say this for every man or every woman, you need to have a vision from God about your mate, so that when they don't meet that vision, or they don't meet the character doesn't match the vision, you don't lose faith in that vision.
No.
I mean, that's like really like if in our journey personally, like if you're going to school and you're a freshman, you're going to have some growing pains, some challenging times, but tough. The vision is not based on that moment in time as a freshman. It's based on where you're going to be in a number of years after you've gone through that.
That's right.
And because you have a vision in front of you, it gives you the ability to sustain some of the bumps and some of the things you have to go through to get there. And so when you say you saw this vision of me, and honestly, that's powerful, because you saw that vision of me clearer than I saw that vision of me. Because I can recall you getting on my nerves about like, why are you doing that? You better than that. I'm like, first of all, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm doing what I got to do to take care of us.
Yeah.
You just doing everything. What about us? When we going to get to what we want to do? And I'm like, first of all, I'm not going to, here's what I was always struggling with. I'm not going to be the guy that lets my wife put a battery in my back and tell me I'm amazing. And then I go tell everybody, I quit this job. I don't need y'all. Because my wife told me I can sing. Like, I just was going. But I mean, it was like, honestly, you were a little irrational person to me. Like, because I feel like the things you were saying to me is like, I'm not even ready for that.
You didn't see it yet. Yeah.
But I think it's both. We were both right.
Yeah.
You saw it and you were filled with that vision. I wasn't really clear on the vision, which is enough reason to say that I wasn't ready. But even the things you were calling out of me, I knew in the moment I wasn't ready for.
And I've said this to several, wives I've talked to that are in a similar situation, because a lot of times when you're with God and you pray and you just kind of discern things spiritually, it's like, but I see this vision and I see what he can do and what we can do together. And it's like, yeah, a lot of times God will give a woman a vision. She may see ahead, but he'll give the husband the map.
Well,
which shows you, okay, what's the next best step?
I got a map, but I don't know where I'm going.
Between here and there, so you need each other. So you're right. We were both right.
We both had a very important piece for the journey.
Yeah.
I had a roadmap. Like I knew, I remember us having a conversation at, when I was working on the project, and I was like, be patient with me.
Yeah, I remember that.
This season we're in right now is not going to be forever.
Right.
I know you don't like it.
Right.
But if you're patient with me, we'll get through this. And I was essentially telling you I'm paying my dues.
Yeah.
And I have to pay my dues. And you were like, no, you don't. Like, we don't need. And we were arguing about something.
How amazing you were.
I don't know. That's a weird argument. Yeah, and I'm telling you, no, it's not time for that. And I don't even know what you're talking about, really. But I do know that this is what we have to do right now. Yeah. Like, I've got to do this work. Yeah. I got to sing these BGVs. Yeah. I gotta pay my dues. I have to do this.
Yeah.
But I could see that if I do these things, I know it's going to lead to something major.
Now, I want to jump in there. And again, I'm a woman and I'm a wife, so I can only talk to wives. But I think it's important for us to learn to respect. Just like as women, we want respect for our intuition, that there are just some things we can just sense and pick up and just feel. And we may not always be able to explain it, but we expect men to respect that and listen to that. men have a natural gift of insight where they're able to assess and break down a situation, next best steps. As a woman, you may say, yeah, but man, I see this over there. And they're like, yeah, that's great, but we don't have enough water for the trip. We got half food rations. It's great that you see that, but if we don't take this step and this step and this step, we'll die before we get there. So anyway, I've always appreciated that about you. And that's the thing. You may not have always understood exactly where we were going, but you've also been very thorough in how you communicated to me where you were at the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes that was all you had. That was all you could give me. And for me, that meant a lot.
This, honestly, as you talk about that, we're the same way now.
Mm-hmm.
You still sometimes badger me about possibilities.
Yes.
And dreams. And even though I'm a creative visionary, we have a very weird dynamic where I have this ability to think, like you would say, you just dream killer. You just you just bring out all of the reasons why, and it's like we can't do it. You always bring out all the negative, and it's like,
I think it's that C-type.
It is a unique. It's not just me being a man, but I think it's also my personality type and the way God made me. And then the path where He took me into engineering and project management, which kind of really changed the way I saw things. As a project manager, one of the major assets of someone with an ability to project manage is to unearth, uncover, point out all of the points of potential failure. And so I believe that as you're walking through life, it's not about being pessimistic, but it's using pessimism to your advantage. To think of all the things that could go wrong and from the perspective of faith, creating strategies to mitigate those possibilities. Right. So that when you get moving and you'll have enough to sustain. Yeah. I think the Bible talks about, no one, builds a house without making sure they have everything they need. At least they'll get into the project and not be able to finish it. Everyone will be making fun of them. Like, this is the thing for me. It's like, it's intuitive for me to say, this is what we need to do step by step by step, and being very negative sometimes in a way, but also making sure that I'm thoroughly counting the cost of what it's going to take to be successful. But you do know this about me, that once I have counted my beans and I know I have enough to make it at least a little over halfway through the journey, when I pull the trigger, I'm not turning back.
No,
I'm not going back.
And that ability that you have has provided me personally with a lot of stability in our life together, because there's no back and forth. You're on or you're off. We are what we are.
I'm not doing
it. Yeah.
So but I love a lot of what you were saying. But when you said something else, and I think this will be helpful for a lot of the people in our tribe, artists, worship leaders, creatives, influencers, people with all these creative abilities, sometimes, and I say it this way, we overinvest and overemphasize on our talents and abilities. And then we underinvest and we minimize all of the greater potentials behind the scenes. And sometimes because people praise you for what you do publicly, sometimes you don't invest in those things that really will support that public ability. Right. But what happens in a relationship is your wife or your husband can't just simply enjoy that wonderful blossomed and bloomed talent. They got to live with the malnourished side of you that you have neglected, while emphasizes and pouring all of your heart into this talent. Yeah. Whether it be writing or whether it be singing or music or playing. Yeah. And here's the bigger piece, and I want you to speak to that. I don't want to go too far, but I feel like sometimes we are emphasizing and overemphasizing and investing in something that really does not have our wealth in it. Right. It's like investing $10,000 in a business card. When what you really need is a good back office. Yeah. And your business card that people see you flash out is your talent. And oh, that's amazing. You've really invested in that. That's awesome. But you probably can't make good on the offer because the things behind the scenes are malnourished.
Right.
But your mate, what makes it hard on your mate is they have to live with the malnourished, underdeveloped part of you every single day.
Yeah.
And then you have to listen to other people talk about how amazing this crazy person is.
Now, and add on another layer. And
I'm talking about me, y'all. I'm not talking about me, okay? I was crazy
Yes.
and amazing. Two things can be true.
That's true. But when you're an undeveloped leader or influencer or artist or creative, it's dealing with that undeveloped part of the person, but also, and I've heard it said this way, it's like you're a bright light. And for the person that has to live the closest to that light, sometimes they get burned. Not from you as an individual, just from the fallout of the lifestyle and the attention. Because guess what? Just like you have a lot of people that love you, you have a lot of people that are jealous of you. You have a lot of people that don't have, the best motives, that are just trying to wiggle their way because they think that they're going to get something, or the travel or the schedule, or, the effect that it has on your children. So it's dealing with the individual that's undeveloped, but then the man of the lifestyle. There's a friend that I have, and her husband is not a pastor or a minister, but he's a lawyer that owns his own law practice. Okay. And I found comfort in our relationship over the years because we both understand we don't have husbands that go to work 9 to 5 and they come home on time every day. The wife of the kind of person, the entrepreneur, the leader, the creative, they have non-traditional jobs, they have non-traditional careers that are tied to their passions. How do you compete with that? Who do you relate to as a wife? You can't just be a regular wife. You got to be like a super wife.
We argued over this.
Yeah.
We fought over this. And it's like, it made you feel like you were competing.
Yeah.
When you shouldn't have been competing, you should have been partnering.
Yeah.
But because I didn't allow you to partner, all you could do was compete.
Yeah.
But then what happens is you end up getting advice from people who are not living in your context. This is why this is important to talk to our tribe, folks who are living in a similar space to us. Is there are some principles that are universal, but sometimes it's not the principle that's a problem, it's the context that's a problem. You're getting the principle from the wrong context, so it sounds like the wrong language.
Yeah.
Listen, humility is humility for everybody, but humility for somebody with a creative ability that's on Front Street is going to look a lot different than somebody who's behind the scenes.
Very true.
And when you're married to somebody with a demand like this,
it's another world.
See, so here's what I it's so strange. Everybody celebrates their favorite preacher and artist when they come to town. But when they're talking to their friend about their husband who ain't home, they're like, what's wrong with him? He's just like the person.
Same guy.
That's your favorite somebody. Because when you're watching him, he ain't home either. He's in your city.
Yeah.
And you're like, man, I can see how you deal with that. Because it's like, it's a challenge. But then it's hard because you have to then try to find people that can speak the principled language in your context, and give you the practical application of how you apply that principle to your husband who's an entrepreneur or who's a creative person, who's an artist, who maybe is on tour, who has traveling as a major part of what they do. Or this is something that's major for us. I do work with a lot of people, and sometimes I have to work with women. And I don't try to curate the most unattractive women in the world to work with. Though it's like, oh no, you too fine. We can't. You way too fine.
That's not reality.
No. But listen, though I don't misunderstand me. I have very strict principles and boundaries around the places I'll go, the things I'll do that involve working with someone of the opposite sex. I don't have my phone. My wife has all my passwords. I give her my phone. Look for that. Text this person. I remember I did that this morning. I was like, go ahead, find that number and text Rob. And I remember I was like, man, listen, This is the kind of stuff that shows intimacy in the marriage, because the phone could be off limits. For some folks, got a privacy screen, a lock, 2 locks, a secret text thread, like all kind of pictures behind a wall. This I don't have any of that. I have boundaries. However, my wife still has to be exceptional in her maturity and understanding all of the dynamics that don't just cost me. They cost her. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And you're talking to women who are married to someone. Let's just talk to them, because it's not just women or men. Sometimes it's the other way around, but from us, this is our story. And so what would you say to a woman right now, like, that's living that life? And I think you've already said a lot of it, but how do you encourage them to keep their eyes focused on their context and how to deal with it when people around them, maybe their parents or their siblings or their close friends or church members, who may not understand the unique nature of what their husband is doing. Right. And that tips or adds to their personal frustration too. Yeah. Yeah. And some of the challenges that you're having internally.
First of all, I would so this is just a practical nugget in that regard. But I would encourage you to dream with your spouse, visioneer with your spouse. For you guys to pray about and to come together and to get a vision for your family. Get a vision. Guess what? We don't always know the whole picture right up front. But let's say, hey, for today, for this year, what are we doing? What's God saying? What's the plan? What's the vision? Whether your spouse works with you in the business or the ministry or not. Because, and the reason why I'm starting with that is when it gets difficult, when you hit those times where you're feeling lonely or left out or insecure, you have a mental anchor, you have an emotional anchor that you can refer to. Hey, even print it out. Even if you need to look at it,
and you will post it on the wall, and I will
print stuff, because we're not going to let the enemy have a toehold. Okay, and what God's doing.
What is that?
Not a toe. He can't have a toe.
Not a foothold.
Not a pinky
or
finger.
A toehold.
No, nothing. You can't have none.
You can't have nothing.
No. So I'm going to put it, when I forget it, when I get tired, when I can't think of it, I'm going to be able to see it, okay? So that's what I would start with.
The devil's trying to get a toehold in your life. He's
trying to get a little pinky finger in there.
She's trying to give you some tips for victory over the toehold.
Can't have it. No, so yeah, that's where I would start. Specifically to wives, and I say this to every woman that I meet that I believe is already walking in this, because you don't start off knowing this when you first get married. It's something that has to be revealed to you as you get more mature. And I was not mature like this when we first got married. So God has worked on me over the years. But to tell that woman that you're not competing with anyone. No one can compete with the position you've been given as the wife. Okay? The only person you're competing with is yourself. Are you becoming a better version of yourself? Are you becoming a more mature version of yourself? Are you serving your home well? Are you serving your husband well? If you're working with him in the business or ministry, in the role that you play, are you playing that role thinking, well, because I'm his spouse and I'm guaranteed a position? No, work in that role, work in that position like you're someone who's from the streets. And you need to earn your way. You need to keep doing. That's why even with what I'm doing with us, I'm like, okay, how can I get another book to read? How can I research? How can I level up? I want to, and that, it's part of probably how I grew up as well. But I've always been someone who's wanted to command my own respect. I don't necessarily, it's not good enough for me for someone to respect me because I'm your wife. I want to be respected because I'm Chavon. And so anyway, there's a lot, but I would say we could start there.
Dang, you just beating people up over the microphone. I'm trying to breathe here. This is so good. Everything you're saying is so good, and it makes me want to just lean in because I want to support you what you're saying from a different perspective. Mm-hmm. I appreciate you giving that wisdom to women about competing. I want to add this to that is, if you take the position of competition, then your husband has to be your opposition.
That's good.
And once you make your husband your opponent, that means one of you has to lose.
Yeah. It's sad.
And if one of you has to lose, then you ultimately both lose.
That's right. Your children lose.
If you make your husband the one who loses, then that's not going to be a place of safety for him. If you lose, because if you choose to take on that position, you might lose. And when you lose, where do you go from there?
Yeah.
So that's, but let me say this, because this is not all on the wife. It's really ultimately on me as a man. Here's the thing. If I do not partner with my wife intentionally, I will put pressure on her to compete. And I've got to say this, guys, stop acting like a jerk. You're insensitive.
Yeah.
You don't empathize. You're pushy.
Yeah.
You all facts, no heart.
Yeah.
Get to the point. You don't want to labor. Listen, everybody wants people to be patient with their process, but we're impatient with everybody else's process. And you have to be, listen, there's so many things I can say, but let me just take my time. Your life is tethered to the processes of others.
It's true.
You have to be patient with other people's process because your progress is coming on the back of their process.
Yeah.
So the best thing you can do for your wife is support her process in this journey. So for me, I had to learn to let my wife get the emotional junk out of herself. Let her talk it out. Let her say things that even might make me feel like she's blaming me. She's not blaming me. She's processing. And if I let her process, she'll then have confidence that she can be safe with me because her words didn't run me away. She can say, oh, that's a man right there. I can lean into that because my words don't break him. He can handle my heart and love me where I am. And doing that was a growth process for me because I was an idiot. I was being a jerk. I was asking from her something that was unreasonable. I shouldn't have been asking. I should have been giving. So I learned to be generous, and generosity. Some of us, we are more generous with people that we do not know than the person you're living with.
That's very
and
true.
Then you get angry with the person that you're living with because they're not giving you what you want. And so then you double down on how much of a jerk you are. And then you say stupid stuff. Like, I was just with them. They don't treat me like that. They do this. You don't do nothing. And then you start comparing. I did this, comparing your wife to other people who don't have to deal with your crap. How can you compare? Can I get all the way down to it? Like, let's talk real, because everything is so buttoned up with the tribe. Listen, this woman has to walk into the bathroom that you walking out of. Come on, man. The people that you know that think the world of you never have to smell that.
That's true. Yeah.
And that's a metaphor.
Yeah.
Because your stuff really does stink.
Wow.
Your attitude stinks.
Yeah.
The lack of disciplines around the house, they stink. Your unwillingness to support your wife emotionally, that stinks. You being so indulgent in whatever you're passionate about that nothing else matters, that stinks. Being inconsiderate, that stinks.
It stinks, yeah.
I remember, listen, I'd be out, whatever I'm doing, studio session, working or whatever, and I had the habit, I would never call. That was stupid. She's sitting at home, and I'm like, what I got to call you for? It's like, listen, she cares about you.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. I had to bring her into my world.
Yeah.
She did not understand what my world encompassed.
Yeah.
And it was my job to let her see it, to give her to to be a tourist, to show her around, to bring her into my world. One of the best things about making your mate a partner is helping them find their place in your space.
Yes.
This is your, because all you were asking me is, how do I fit into this?
Yeah.
How do I play a role in this?
Yeah.
And some of the things that created so much tension for us, they were all my fault, because now I know in this season of our lives, what gives me the benefit of all the greatest assets you bring is the fact that I've given you a clear space to operate.
Yeah.
So now that you're with me, you never have to compete against me.
Right.
And everything that I'm looking at as an obstacle for me, you're looking at as an obstacle for you.
Yeah.
So now we're partners in the fight.
Right.
We're back to back, shoulder to shoulder, hip to hip, fighting the same common enemy that's a threat to us and our family, or climbing that hill together. And now it's like, you thirsty, baby? Yeah, I'm thirsty. You hand me a canteen, I drink water. You want some of this water?
Yeah.
And now the ministry or the project or the album or the TV show or the whatever it is you're creating, the business you're creating as an entrepreneur, is no longer in opposition to your wife.
That's right.
It's now something that you guys are looking at together and conquering together. But if I don't give her space to own it, this is the reason why I often say we have this, we do this. When we do concerts, this is how we do it. It's like, well, you up there, it's we. Who's we? No, it's we.
Yeah.
It's always we.
Yeah.
We. So somehow I had to break up the tension.
I wanna add a layer though to what you said, and it's so good, and it is a partnership. We both have our areas where we have to intentionally grow as individuals. So I would say this for wives, again, kind of going back to them. I had to learn to grow in how I communicated to you.
Yeah.
Okay. I was the oldest of 5, strong-willed. I come from the Lou. Okay. And we say what's on our mind.
Let's talk about that feminine energy.
St. Louis. Okay.
Let's talk about that feminine energy you've been learning.
I had to learn how to approach him from a position of honor, which is what I learned from the late Debbie Titus, amazing woman of God. Learned so much from her. But the same dynamic that I talked about earlier in the unique challenges that comes with the calling of certain men, certain people that you're going to marry, you have to understand that you're dealing with sometimes a level of intoxication that these men feel when they do what they do from the people that are constantly pouring attention and praise on them. Yeah. So even though you see the other side and you see the undeveloped side, you have to learn how to say it in a way that they can hear it. And the level of demand and the pressure that it takes for them to just keep showing up. If you're constantly coming at them about what they're not and what they're not doing and how they're not measuring up, it'll break them. It'll break them down.
Can I say this? Because this is something you do. This is really to support this point you're making. You have to support your mate's weaknesses while you celebrate their strengths.
You have to celebrate them.
And the celebration has to be louder.
Yes, for sure.
Because what you're doing is you're constantly reinforcing your belief in that person. Mm-hmm. You're reinforcing what's good about them. Mm-hmm. Because if the loudest thing you're saying about your mate is something, though it may be true, that they need to work on, all that does is breed insecurity in them.
It does.
And then it creates this tension between somebody who's shouting loud, you ain't all that. You need to get your life together. Your clothes all over the floor. You don't do this. You don't watch the kids. And then I go out and everyone's telling you, you're amazing. You're so articulate. You're so wise. You can sing. You're so talented. You're so creative.
Yeah.
And now I got this contrast.
Yeah.
Which one do I want to listen to?
Come on.
But we talked about this a while back about creating a safe place.
Yes.
And a lot of times what you want may be one thing, but the path to what you want as it relates to your relationship is always safety first.
Yes.
Because you'll never get what you want.
Right.
If the person that you're engaged with doesn't feel safe with you. And I think it's important, and this is on both sides, to create safety for intimacy. So that if I create a safety, let you know that I believe in you. I love you. I care about you. I champion you. I celebrate you. You're safe with me. Here's what I love in my wife is that I can come home and you're going to ask me about my day. You care about how I feel. You allow me to feel my feelings without telling me you need to pull yourself together. You don't give me that. You let me process my emotions in real time, and you walk with me through them, and then you let me lead. Like, you give me space. You won't try to take the reins. Like listen, if you that worried about things, well, shoot, I'm gonna do what I got to do, because you tell me I can do it. You push me. You encourage me, and you create a space for me where and it's even not always in what you say. It's in what you do. I know this whole traditional marriage thing for y'all, for a lot of people, may be something that it's a turnoff. I'm telling you, it's amazing. But even if it's different, it's
We've enjoyed it.
I think it still works. Yeah. But it's the way you do for me. Like, when I come home, you'll bring me a plate of food, or you'll bring me a bottle of water. I just want to talk to the ladies right now for a second. If you're a man, like, serve your man, and man, serve your wife. But just talking to the woman, like, it ministers to him to come in, because here it is. All that praise doesn't do everything you think it does, because your man is in a fight.
Right.
And so when he comes home, he's been fighting. Right. And so even though everyone's celebrating him, what he's thinking about is everything that didn't go well.
Right.
He's still thinking about how he's trying to keep up a good face for the people who really don't know him. And he's hoping that this doesn't all blow up in his face. And he's thinking about the person who's been talking about him behind his back, or the person that betrayed him.
It's real. Yeah.
So when he comes home, sometimes just loving him, giving him a kiss on the head, straightening things up a little bit, making the space like a place where, like, he can retreat.
Yeah.
And just doing simple things, because you can't always do all those things. I understand if you got small children, or maybe you work, you can't always do that. But being intentional to speak a love language to him that will feed him, and not pressuring him,
right? But
just saying, hey, you know what? I got your back. You want something to drink, baby? Let me get some ice water. And that may sound old school, but who don't want somebody to bring them some ice water? Like, who's going to say, get that ice water out of my face? I don't want that. I want that hot food. Even if you have to order the food on Uber Eats and just say, I'm going to have this for him. And this might be a reversal of roles if your wife is in this role, because there are some non-traditional homes.
Yeah.
Doing something for them to say, hey, I'm here to feed you, to pour back into you.
Yeah.
And then I know that there's something you're going to need that I need from you, but I'm going to make sure that I serve you, love you, and nurture you first. And then we'll get to the space where I need you to pour into me.
Yeah.
And on that same token, like, when it comes to the other side of that, as a man, I'm coming home and I have to also transition the way I think. I can't treat her, and this is one of the biggest failures, and I've talked to some of my friends like that. I can't treat my wife like a musician. No. I can't treat my wife like someone that I work with. I can't treat my wife like a partner. I can't treat my wife like a vendor. I have to treat my wife like my wife.
Yeah.
So I have to be mindful of her emotions and how I speak. And when I'm coming home, process and transition into that environment and engage her in empathy and in love. And sometimes I have to make up in my mind, I'm tired, but before I sit down and plop down and do nothing, I'm going to do these 3 things.
Yeah.
I'm going to hug and kiss my wife. I'm going to ask her how her day went. I'm going to see my kids. I'm going to look at homework if I need to. I may sit down. And I'm going to serve when I get home so that she knows that she's first.
Yeah.
So she knows that she's not an afterthought.
Yeah.
That she knows that I see you and I do need your help. And if you're doing that, you have this beautiful thing where both people are serving each other simultaneously. And that creates safety for both hearts to then feel the freedom to share and openness in a non-threatening environment, because I know I'm loved and accepted. Now what I have to say is not going to come with heat on it.
Yeah.
It's going to come with relief on it.
Yeah.
And it'll be heard and received because there's love and empathy and there's a safe space there.
Yeah, that's good. And I would encourage, if your marriage is caught in a cycle of selfishness, because you've both kind of been doing the opposite, it only takes one.
It only takes one.
Just takes one person to start sowing new seed, to start taking action, to have a different result in the future.
You said this about us. You said that somebody has to be like Jesus. Why not you? Mm-hmm. Like you become Jesus in the relationship. Mm-hmm. Every relationship needs a hero, and we all take turns.
Yeah, we do.
Sometimes Jesus shows up in me.
Yeah.
Sometimes he shows up in my wife. And sometimes that just happens at the right time and not at the same time.
Yeah.
But we both have to own that opportunity. And you said something so important. It only takes one. And I thought of this thing that we learned a long time ago, circle of causality.
Yeah.
Where someone has to break the cycle.
Yeah.
And the circle of causality is someone offends you, and then you react, you offend them, and then they react and they turn it back. And this thing cycles. And it cycles. And you get like tired of that cycle. You're getting dizzy. You're mad. You're angry. You're frustrated. But you keep on spinning the cycle. Mm-hmm. Somebody has to say, I'm getting off of this merry-go-round. I'm going to do something different. I'm not going to be reciprocal. I'm going to get something from God, and I'm going to interject that into this. Yeah. Stop this cycle. Yeah. And it's hard to argue or fight with somebody who ain't swinging back.
And it's clear who the jerk is in the situation, right?
Let them just be. Let them clown, and you love. Yeah. And I think that is the biggest asset I think that we can bring to our marriage is that selflessness, that empathy, break the cycle, be Jesus. Sometimes you got to be the hero, and it might be challenging, but I pray that this is a blessing to you. This is why we're doing it, because you need to hear some of these principles in your language as a part of our tribe. This is a part of life in the wild where we deal with the hard issues and the challenges behind the scenes that make it possible for us to build a platform for purpose to stand on.
That's good.
Right? So I love you guys. Thank you, sweetheart.
You're amazing. I love you.
Thank you so much. And I like what you're doing. What you're doing.
I'm glad you like it.
I like what you're doing with that rap. Yeah. Well, but, what was I saying? I was kidding. Holla at y'all. Love y'all. Life in the wild right here. Let's do it.